So yesterday's session, we went through variable and data types and few examples of the simple programming. And today I'll go through control flow, like if statement, for statement. We have already touched upon them, but we'll go through more examples. Break and continue and pass. So these are the basic control flow are the, you can say, the heart of any software language. So we'll go through it. So it will develop us to, it will help us to design and develop code with decision making. And also I'll try to cover functions. Functions are like more of a, say if you have a big task, right, a huge task, you cannot do the whole task in one single step. That is where the function comes into picture. What it gives, someone is making why so yeah. So the function gives you ability to have, I mean, divide the task in small, repeatable code blocks, which can be reused later. So today, say you are writing, say, function for, say you want to write a function which checks the disk space of, say, all machines. So what you'll do is you will just write a function which just does df, and then you write a loop. So you call the df function inside a loop, which will actually go through each and every server and do the df. So in that way, what happens, your code size becomes small, it becomes more readable, and biggest advantage is you can use the functions in some other program, whatever you want. Then again, if you want, if we can go through data structure. Actually, we went through list queues already. So maybe we can go through some example of nested list, tuple, sets, dictionary, error handling, and we'll go through the because modules is the one of the most important thing you will use in day to day. This is the more you can say the most practical example of anything, because with any programming language nowadays, it is not the how good you are in programming language, it's how good you are able to use third-party modules to get your task done, because you're not going to write everything. You just need to know, or maybe just Google it, or go on GitHub, find a new module, just use it. So more like collaborative development. You don't have to write anything from scratch. Then some sysadmin program examples. We'll walk through if you have time. And the advanced topic, I would like to cover classes maybe before that, because but yeah, classes, if you know, having some kind of object-oriented understanding, it helps, but it is not really required. You can get away without having like class, but still class is, you need to understand class, because what happens is most of the modules that you get from third party, they're all modularized using classes. They're use object-oriented, so it will help you to understand someone else's code rather than writing your own. So let's go to the if else, and I'll be using this official Python tutorial. This one, they have very simple examples to go through it. So let's open up a terminal. Okay. So we have it here. So I've already talked about like loops, and maybe we have done if also. So if is a conditional statement. So if you are going through the whole idea of having to write programming language is to make some decision. Based on decision, you are doing some kind of action. If something matches, you do something. If something doesn't match, you don't do. So if is the most handy of those examples. So if you want to compare, say, if I give an integer called I equal to 2, I equal to 3, say, okay, and you want to, if statement is very simple comparison statement. So if I say I, the syntax is important here. When you do a single equal to sign, that time you are assigning the variable. You are assigning the variable value to the variable. However, when you are doing a double, that means you are actually checking whether it's equal to or not. And Python syntax is like that. You have to press a colon and then tab, and then you say some kind of activity. I would say match. And you can always use a else statement. If it doesn't match, you say no match. So because this was 3, so it doesn't match. Same way, this is one example of having if condition. But actually, you can have a lot of different kind of comparison, like not equal to. So not equal to will be I, not equal to 3. It is if you have done any bash programming, you know bash has already inbuilt like any like not equal to, or equal something, they say not equal to like this, or equal to like this, or all bash also support these kind of programming style, like they call idiom, I think the programming idiom, like exclamation and equal to is not equal to. You can use like greater than equal to, less than equal to, or even like this. It all works, and they all work if you again remember from the last session we talked about data type. So if both data types are same, it will work. Like you can do a list comparison same manner. You can do a string comparison. So I can write a string equal to hello. I can do this, and I can do like this. If s equal to hello, I can do this comparison and it will work. Same way, if we can compare lists also, like L equal to, say if I have a list, if L equal to, and there are many other kind of style you can use. Let me see if it works or not. See, it works. And if also Python also supports different kind of English style your comparison. Like I can do like if one in L. So what it says, if it can actually iterate through the list and tell me if that is one of it. So this is one of the very handy thing you will come when you're doing some example. Like I'll say, yes, it is. Yeah. So these kind of things, like it gives you a power to actually go inside a list and see if anything matches or not. Yeah, just hold on 1 minute. Sorry, guys. So that was I was giving some example on like if statement, if inside a list. So similar kind of thing you can do in for string also. So if pretty much works on anything on everything. You can actually even write a function which returns something, and then you can do the in on that. So if I'm writing a function, say like my foo function is something like say I say foo x, and just say it doesn't take any argument. I say def foo, and it returns a list 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is done. Now if I say if one in foo, well, it was a typo, but the point is that in the if you can actually use, not only you can use a variable, but you can actually use a whole function expression also. So it gives you a lot of very powerful tool to do a decision making on at the code block. And this maybe now you're thinking, okay, why I'm telling you this? Why I need this? Maybe I mean, what it may not make sense, but when you start writing some code, when you try some example, you will get stuck, and then you work through your problem. Then you will figure out that these if block statements are the building blocks of your code. Without it, you cannot write even single code. So this is an example to demonstrate it. So they have given some like control block that if is pretty much directed, and for I think you guys have done already. So I'll give you one more go on the for. So again, for a you can have different kinds of loop. So one is for loop, one is while loop, and one is do while. So they work pretty much the same way. It's all up to your preference. What kind of loop do you like? like uh, like for loop is very well suited if you want to iterate through a list or a string or number of variables. In that, your range is a very good function which gives you a like 10. If I give this, it gives me numbers. So if I want my loop to run for 10 times, in this case I can use this thing. So I can use like for I in range. If I do this range 10, here I can actually now, if you see most of the example, I'm doing a print. Print is for demonstration, but actually in real code, you'll be doing a lot of operation. You'll be maybe deleting a file, creating a file, connecting to a remote host, and do these kind of things. So, but the exact idea over here is this. I what is going on? Wait 1 minute. I have to disable this touchpad. Yeah. So if I do this, and I can just do the print the variable I. So this is an example. Range, and same way I can do in a string also. If I say a word is like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again pay attention to this, that these values are integer, and these what you will see they are string. They have a different storage class. You cannot just you cannot do a comparison of like if you do something like this. If I say like okay, s equal to 1, if I do I equal to 1, okay, if I do if I equal to s, use match. See, you get mismatch. It looks the same, like 1, 1, but they are different kind of data structure. The one actually, if you're talking about a real computer style thing, this one is actually it is stored inside a hex value 1, and this quotes 1 is saved as a ASCII value 1. ASCII value is here. You can, if you want to see ASCII value, you can go here, man ASCII. So if I want to see what was the value for A, you will see here. It was 97. If I want to print that value as an integer, you will see it's the 97. So they look the same, but they're different. So same way you have to whenever you are doing comparison, you have to be comparing the right thing in a right way. Otherwise, you will get some result that you don't want. So this is the for loop. Again, if I think for the string also you can do. See if I do I in word, maybe I'm not sure it will work, but it should work. Yeah, it worked. So same way you can iterate through string, you can iterate through list, pretty much everything whatever is iteratable, you can iterate. So I give you example of list, but now if you have a nested list is example of, say, if I have a L1 equal to 1, 2, I have L2 equal
Hey,
to,
Chandan, I have a question.
yeah,
So the word on top of this screen you're showing, this is actually looks like a string because it's in brackets, right?
yeah.
So it, when you print I at the bottom, it printed into vertical. It shouldn't it be printing horizontal as a string?
No, it's not. What happens is it is a behavior of the print. What it does after each print, it if you print is actually new, it prints on a new line. It never prints on the same line.
But that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5 is one single entity, one single
No,
item.
no.
So
See, this is thing. When you say word and I'm iterating through it, so each time when it loops, first in the first loop it finds one. Then it executes the code print, and print by default, it prints next print is always on the new line.
So you are saying either it's an integer or
It doesn't
string.
matter.
That it will print one character at a time.
Yeah, again, this is print is only example, but when you are iterating through the loop, in first iteration you will get only one element.
That's what I'm confused. I think the whole string is one element, but it's taking every single
Yeah,
character differently.
yeah. See, okay, I got your confusion. Okay, take example of list. Okay, if I say L2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, here. Okay, now if I am talking about a list, then this whole list is a single element. But when I'm talking about individual elements, it has how many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 elements. Same way, when I talk about this word as a string, then it is a one string, single string. But when I'm talking about it as a series of characters, then yes, it has many characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever number of characters are. So when I'm iterating through the loop, what it's doing is it considers the string as a string of characters. So it will parse each and every character one by one rather than going through the whole string. So it actually chops it. So this is the difference. Like this is the I was
Okay.
emphasizing on the data type. When I'm talking about string is a series of characters. It is a group of string which are you are put in a one single line. But when you are iterating in the loop, it becomes a different element. I
So
mean,
it means if we replace this word with the A B C D E F, it will
you
also
can do
print that.
anything. Yeah. Let's do again. Take this example again. A, B, C, D, whatever it is. Okay. Same. If I do again, if for I in Word, and if I try to print it, say I, you will get this. So it really doesn't matter what is inside of it. It matters what kind of data structure I have used. So when it goes through the loop, it will go through each and every element of that data structure. For string, the single element is character. For list, single element is the item. This one. And when we read about dictionary, it will actually go through single element. For it is a tuple. Tuple something like if I say dictionary, say fruit, I say equal to apple. So I have to define the dictionary first. Dictionary you have to define first like this. So if I type dictionary, and if I type fruit, it gives me this. So it's all depends on what kind of data structure. Wait, I'll explain you the nested list, then it will make you more comfortable with that. It will make more sense what we are doing right now. So
Can you also print for I in L3?
What?
Like this L3, can you do for I in L3?
I in?
This L3, the last one.
You want to start from the last?
No, for I in L3.
Yeah. If you do the I in L3, it will print 9, 6, 5, whatever it is.
Okay, can you do that?
Okay. For I in. And actually, I want to show you a nested list example. It will make more concept more clear. If I create a list, nested list of L1, L2, L3. Okay. See, right now remember in the previous, here what we created a single list, L1. We created another list called L2. And now we created a list which has, it's called nested list. Why? Because each element is a list itself. So if I say L, it has L, it has this, and it has this. So now it has 3 list elements. So, but now if I do for I in L, any guess what will print on the first I? Anybody?
It will print 1, 2.
Yeah. So it will actually print the first list, then the second list, and the third list. And now we can actually example having a nested loop. So I can do another for say n in I, because I know I is a list itself. So now I can iterate one more level. So I can do this, and I can print n. Then it will print me the all list in one line. Did you get this example, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is pretty much, I can say, for the basic for looping, and even I covered the nested list also. So the data structure in that way is pretty simple, and we can go through more example like if else. Yeah.
Can you explain this last where you use 2 for I in N and then for N in I?
Yeah, because if you carefully watch the first loop, what you see is for I in L. So I in this loop, I is a list itself. This list, this one, and that one. Okay. And now we printed this list. But if you want to iterate through these individual lists again, then what will you do? Because you have the I already, so I can iterate through the I again. This is an example of nested list and nested loop, and these you will use very common.
So what you're saying is the first top of it, it just brings each list in bracket in the square bracket, and for the next list, it basically looks at the whole thing together, right?
No, it's not like that. What it does see, are you able to get this line, the first line which I'm highlighting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have confusion regarding this line, right?
That's where you iterating through the result of the first line, no?
Yes, that's what. Yes, I'm iterating through the result of this first loop. So this is a nested loop. So we have 2 loops right now.
So what will happen is it will run through the first one and hold the information in memory and run through the second list?
Yes. What it does actually, everything is in memory. So when you do this, when you do for I in L, so now at this level, the I is this one, 1, 2. And now again I run a loop. So what it does, it goes through I again. and finds 1, 2 and prints it. And then again, same loop goes back to here at the beginning. At the beginning, again, it takes the second list. It gives this loop a second list. We can actually put more prints to make it more clear. Wait. For this, let's print the sublist. Right. For n. See how it works. The first time it got sublist 1, 2 and it printed 1, 2. Second time it got the sublist this guy and it printed is all element. Third time it got the third sublist, it printed all elements. So what we have is first time the loop we went, we got the first sublist, and then it went inside the sublist, printed these two. Again, then once it is printed, it goes back to the top of the control. And then again, it loops through this guy, and then same thing, repeat and repeat, it happens. Does it make sense now?
Yes.
Okay. So when you, I'll take an example, and often many cases you will use like if inside a for loop. So if I'm saying, say, for I in L, if I say if I equal to say 1, 2, I can do a comparison. I can say, one example I'll show you, pass. Pass is a statement in Python which allows you to run an empty cycle. Empty cycle means it will do nothing. It will just pass. It will go through it. And then I write here, otherwise, I haven't used, you can use like else, and you can have a else if also, like else and if together. So if you use else if together, you do elif. It's the short form of it. Elif, again say I equal to, what is the second, this guy. This one, I say continue. Continue is another statement. It is used, remember, pass is not a loop specific statement. Pass you can use pretty much everywhere. You can use in a function or anywhere. Say you are writing a code and suddenly you wrote a function and you're not able to figure out, okay, what should I write inside the function. But for now you can just do a pass. Pass, it is like an empty statement. It will just pass through, because in Python you cannot have an empty function defined. You cannot write a function which does nothing. So if you happen to have that kind of function, you may encounter many situations where you're writing multiple functions and you're just keeping it as a placeholder. That time the pass is very handful, but pass you can use here also. So pass, what it does, when you go here, if matches this pass, it immediately goes to the next statement. That's it, no more than that. But continue is different. Continue is coming from all other programming language. Every programming language has this. So whenever the loop encounters a continue, it doesn't execute it further. It takes the control, goes back to the top of the loop. So whenever it sees continue, it will go back here. It will not execute the next line. Say my next line is this: else if I equal to say this one. And now say I want to print it. I can use something like I want to just print one element. So I'll say I print 0. Okay. So now if I execute this code, see, you only get 4. How you get 4? First loop. the first line statement, it matched because we know when the loop was iterating, the first element it gets is this list. Now it got the list, it went inside the if code block, and what it find? Pass. Pass means do nothing, just go again. And then next, so it went to the next statement. Next statement is this guy. And yes, we know the next didn't match it because obviously the next loop is this one. Okay, so this it did the if the else didn't match here, it went to else. Else if here. Else if here is what? It matched with this one. And what we are printing the first element of the list. It printed 4 and went back again. And again it came to the loop. This time it didn't match this, but this time it might have matched this one, which is
what was it matching, by the way?
what?
What was it matching?
Matching is what is the value of I right now? So because see now our code block is getting bigger and bigger, so it's time we should move to an editor. So let's open a loop.py. Okay, so we start with this. It's similar to your bash programming. Bin user bin Python. So here what I'm doing is we just copy paste the code. Well, eventually we have to move to editor. And now the examples are getting bigger and bigger, so we have to use the editor. So I'm using VI, you can use any editor of your choice, it really doesn't matter. So now how we'll show what is happening in the loop. First time, again, if you're using any editor, be careful with the tab. Now this tab is actually, tab is not aligned. This is very important in fact for any editor. You will struggle a lot if you don't align the tab. Tab has to align with whatever you're using. So code block is segregated by tab. When I say for loop, after for the next statement, there should be one tab and the whole code inside the code block should be in this aligned to the same tab. You shouldn't go to another tab, otherwise it will consider it's outside the for loop. Two cases may happen: either your code will behave the way you don't want, or through a compilation error. So let's go through. Actually, for now you can use gedit. Gedit is also pretty good, not bad. So Control S. If you save it as .py, I think it will show you the coloring. Yeah, it's showing coloring. So we can simply go back here, put a tab. This guy has a huge tab.
Do you need this?
So now how I run this particular code. See, L is not defined because we never defined L. So define L as I'll use Sublime because it has better tab. So we have it here. So now we have this running. So let's go through the output of this. What do you see the output here? You see the first sublist is what? 0, 1. So we can actually put more print to make it, again, you have to be careful with the tab, yeah. This aspect of Python, you will hate it, but once you get used to it, it's okay. It's not a big deal. So if I do print, testing pass, then again I'm doing here is testing continue, and this now I run it. See, continue what it says. And it does not match any outer indentation. So
double quote for print in testing.
Yeah, it's a tab issue.
No, I think you use single quote for the print testing continue.
No, see, it doesn't matter. Single quote, double quote, both are.
Okay.
It is a tab issue. See, the error also says clearly what it says. Indentation error.
Okay.
Unindented does not match any outer indentation level. So you have to match it with the tab. So now it is, see. Now we have, see how it's working. The first code it executed I12, then testing, and we are now second time, first code it went, see, first loop it went and passed, it nothing else matched, okay? Then it went to match, and if, yeah, this is pretty much the loop. It's, I mean, first iteration it matches this one, so it prints this thing, testing pass. Second iteration it matched this guy, see, matched. Second iteration is this one, this particular, it matched, so it actually went inside this code block. See, the code block matched the if, and it prints the whole sublist. And third time it actually went here, and actually there is no further loop, so it doesn't make sense. I mean, you don't see it, but this is actually, we can actually put this continue here to make it more to show that after this it will go to the top of the code. See, testing continue. So I think I didn't save it. First testing pass, match if, testing continue. Yeah, this is not going.
Yeah, so
Like till now it still has the guy didn't remove the statement. Yeah. Yeah, now what is happening? See, first time it went testing the pass, second time it went, and third time it went on the continue, because
yeah, that's right, because your matching continue
what
was matched in third time.
Yeah. So continue is just a statement which continues the loop. It doesn't go any further. So these kind of stuff you will need it when you don't want to increment a variable, or I can give you a better example of doing it.
So before you are changing from here, can you once again just explain the tab, how tab is set up for this particular example from
Okay.
line 1 to line last?
Okay. So as for Python, the separating point from how you separate code blocks is by tab. So when I'm writing, like if I'm writing a new code, just forget about this. If I'm writing a new code for, say, if foo equal to hello, okay, I'm making an if statement. I do colon and I press enter. When I press enter, the code block that you want inside if, it should be a one tab away from the if itself.
Okay.
It doesn't have to, it is a relative tab. It doesn't have to be some kind of tab. Like if you start the code block here, then this guy should be like this, one tab away from this if. Same principle applies to the for. If I have a for I in L, it should be one tab away from this. Same applies to a function. If I'm having a diff function foo, say my function name is foo, and I do this, and it should be tab away again to this guy. This is the whole principle behind tab.
But when we are writing else, say for elif, then we have to come back one tab because with every
time, every code block you begin, it has to have a one tab relative to the main thing. So here you see, but what happens, if you put the tab here, your if statement, this statement has no, it has nothing. How Python treats this code, if you don't put the tab, it thinks that it is a part of the main for loop. It doesn't put inside the else if statement. So for the Python interpreter, you need to have a tab for each and every code block.
No, I get it. I was asking about the elif line, that when you entered after writing pass, I'm talking about your line number 9. So after typing pass, when you enter, it will again be tabbed under exactly the P of the pass. But if you are writing elif, then you have to come back a tab. Is that right?
Yeah. Because else is always a new code block. You don't want else inside the if itself. Because is it if else? If this doesn't happen, then else is a different code block. So that's why else is there.
Okay.
So I think, there is one more statement, break, and then I think we move to function. So break is another, like in the loop, you have two facilities. One is to continue, another option is to break. So break is like any condition when you want to end the loop. So if I put break instead of this continue, you'll see what will happen here. Let me delete it, otherwise you complain. See what happened here, the loop. First time it iterated, first, second, and that's it. You don't see the third element anymore. Why? Because when we match the second element here, we did a break. And what it does, it takes you out of this for code block. So break is any time if you want to end the loop, and which is the most practical scenario, because say if you are running a loop for 10 things, sometimes you don't want to run the whole loop, right? If some error happens or you get your objective, if you meet your objective before the end of the loop, then you say break. So break is actually ending the code block.
So what's the difference between pass and continue? They are both the same thing, right?
No, they are not same thing. Pass is actually an empty statement. Pass is nothing. Pass is empty. So after what happened here, after pass, the code goes here. Then after pass, next line of execution is this one. But after continue, if I put continue, if I put here continue, let's say, the next line of execution is here. It takes back to the beginning of the loop. If I'm here, say the moment I type continue, the next code, whatever you write, say let's give a good example here. Say count equal to 1, okay? I say count equal to 1, and I add something like here I do count equal to count plus 1. I'm incrementing the count, okay, inside if statement. And I'm doing the same thing here. Count equal to count plus 1. And I'm doing a print also. Hello. Okay. Let's remove the break statement, otherwise it will never execute that code. So we are here, and what I'll do is I'll print here the count. See what is happening. Did you see this hello continue here? No, because why? See, after testing, see what happened. First was count was 1. Then after pass, what happened? It went here. We can actually put here also another thing. Print hello pass. Okay, testing pass, hello pass. We have it here. See, we have testing pass, we have hello pass, and then obviously it went to if else. It didn't find anything. It went to top of the loop again, printing the sub list. Next sub list is this one, so it goes inside this code block, and it prints this one match if, and it prints the count. And right now count is 2 because count here we started with 1, and this code was executed, so count become 2, and now it is printing this count. We get the count value 2, and the third time when it went to this code block, this one, this when it matched this list, else if it says testing continue, we get testing continue. It hits continue, it doesn't execute these two codes. See, that's it. Hits continue, it goes back here, and by the time it reaches here, it sees okay, my loop is finished anyways because I do not have any more element to iterate. It ends the loop, and that's it. So this is one example of the pass and count continue, how different they are.
Okay.
Okay. So break is also clear, right? Break. Any question with break?
No, it's good.
Okay. So we have it, and now we directly go to the function. Function is what as I said at the beginning, that you need the function is a code block which you want to reuse. So what I can do, I can put the whole code in a function, like I said there. Again, as per function, I have to do a tab. That done, and I want to call the function. I just call here loop fun. Nothing changes. Okay. What happened here is I defined the whole thing in a function, and I call this function. That's all. And you can like bash programming, you can pass the argument to the function. Say I want to pass any argument. I want to say the count value. Say I want to say this count. I don't want count to be here. I want one example of function, good example. I'll take it from here. Say for I in the range, say count. Okay. Now what I did was here this. I said 2. Did you get what happened here? I defined a function which takes one argument as count, and I give this count to the range variable. Okay. and I give this to the range variable, and based on the range, it executes the whole thing. So depending upon the different range, we can actually manipulate this guy. Now I can do a 10 here, and I do 10. See, it does 10 times. I can do say 11. It will do 11. So this is to demonstrate how simple to define a function and how to use them. And you can have another trick here. If I don't give any argument, what it says, see, it throws an error. It says loop function takes exactly one argument, 0 given. So now this guy expects you to give an argument. If you do not give, it will throw an error. So many cases you want to write a function. Sometimes you want to pass it an argument, and sometimes you do not. In that case, you make the argument as optional. How do you make it optional? You make it equal to none. The moment you write this none word, Python thinks, okay, now this argument is optional. It doesn't care about it. So what it does is, here, if I do this, see, you still get error from a different function, but that the function didn't complain itself. Why? Because now the range function is not, it is a count is mandatory for the range function, because range is an inbuilt Python function. So the way it is written, it expects something. So what we can do is, we can write a code if count is none, count equal to, say, just give it a default value, say 3. Okay. Now how, see the output of this. See what happened was, here I didn't give anything. Okay. So this condition became true. So we can print here, just to show count is none. Okay. See, count is none. That's why what I did, I gave count value 3, and this count went to the range, and it executed the for loop as we wanted. So this is one example of how you can have a argument and optional argument. So this is pretty simple. Like, you create a function is no big deal. You whenever, and it is always good to have small function. You have to decide, like, function shouldn't be too small and it shouldn't be too big. The whole idea of function is to segregate the task into small chunks of tasks to able to complete the task. At the same time, when you often in a day-to-day job as a developer, what you do, you'll write some code. You will not die with that code, right? You will give it to someone else. You will pass the code to someone else. So if someone else is inheriting your code, he should abuse you. Oh my God, how bad programmer was that? So if you have a nicely written functional programming, so it is easy to read and also easy to troubleshoot. So because what happens is, if you write a huge file, like big file, I can give you an example, like, no need for example, I'll show you later. So if you have a whole code in a, like, without a function, you have a big line of code. If some error happens, it's very difficult to find out the error. So, but in a function, you can actually just comment out the function, and that whole functionality can be disabled. Say tomorrow, say, take an example. Okay, I want to create a loop. Okay, say main loop is like that. Print want to run the loop. Okay, I did this. Put it here, and this is running. Okay, I want to run the loop, and now because of function, see, if say suddenly I don't want to run this loop. Okay, what I can do, if I have a function, I can just simply comment this line, and the whole code blocks is disabled now. See, it doesn't execute. But imagine if you had the whole code block after this, like this. What you have to do? You have to comment the whole code like this. This is a very small example, but imagine if you have 1,000 lines of code, and without any function, if you want to disable a feature, you have to go through each and every line, comment it. It will become like nightmare. It is just not feasible. So whenever you're writing, try to identify the task, individual independent task, who can work together to achieve your goal and convert them into small function and call the function rather than the calling the code itself. It will be very time saving for any other purpose. So we are here, range pass. So default argument values and use cases break. So this is pretty much I think we covered this. And nested list we did. Tuples I'll save it for later. I think I didn't write here. Dictionary is the most important. We'll cover tuple and sets later when dealing with more complex topics. But let's go through the dictionary. Dictionary is like any other data type. So let's go back to the interpreter. Again, for dictionary, you have to declare the dictionary like this. Once you do this, the Python knows this is a dictionary element. So now you can use dictionary like I say A. Dictionary always work like your English Oxford dictionary. How you go through find a word. You go through the index and find the word, and then you see what is on the other side of the word to find the meaning. Same way I can say A equal to 1. Then I can say B equal to 2. Anything you want to say, right? C equal to 3. Now if I do take, see what is shape? So it shows me. It shows a pair. This, if you see correctly, this is a dictionary is nothing but a list of tuples. Like this is one pair. This is one pair, and this is one pair. So and it is very fast because unlike list, you have to know the index number, right? If I want to say, take this example, this one. If you want to get, you have to know the list element like 0, 1, 2, 3. This is the third element to access this particular element. But in dictionary, you can just pass the index, this literal index, and you are able to access it. So if I want to access this guy, I say C, and I get this value. This one. And second thing is about how to loop about it. So looping is kind of same. But let's try with a simple loop for I in dict. Okay. Let's see what it shows us. So if you see what it's doing is it printed as A, B, C. It didn't give us the second element. Because why? Because each and every dictionary element is actually a 2 element. But here in I, what we gave only 1 element. So when it was assigning the element, it didn't find a second variable. So let's try a different technique. Maybe this will work. I and J. Now see, it throws an error. Why? Because dictionary actually, although it has 2 elements, but it doesn't extract these 2 elements. So we have to use the inbuilt function. Dictionary looping is a little bit different than list. So in this case, you have to use like for I in dict items. Dict item is a inbuilt dictionary function. Remember, we were talking about string, how string object has so many inbuilt functions like upper, lower, find. Same way you have for list. You have like append, pop, push, remove. Same way dictionary has many inbuilt functions. One of the element is this items. When you say dict item, what it does, it returns the item in a tuple format so that a for loop can pick it up. So now if I do I and J and do this, and we do print I and J. Now it works. Now why? Because the moment you call this tuple function, it returns you in a tuple format. So what happens is just type it here. See what is the output. See what happened. The moment you type dict item, it converts the dictionary into a list paired tuple. So whenever you see these braces, this means this is a list, and each list has these pair of tuples, and these tuples can be iterated as a ij because they are actually each and every tuple has two elements. So now you can access it. Are you getting it? Hello? Hello? Anybody here?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is just to demonstrate that the list, I mean, how a dictionary is working. And dictionary, you will find it is very useful in especially in sysadmin world. Best example you can think of like a DNS. Like you want to forget even not even DNS, you want to iterate through a bunch of IP addresses. And so what you can do is and assign them to host name. So if I say my hosts, okay, call it hosts. I declare a dictionary. Now I call hosts. Say my first host is IP is something like this. Second one is this. So if I type host, it gives you a very handy example of how when you're iterating through the whole thing. So if you say if you want to go through a list of 10 IP addresses, in that case, if you prepare a dictionary of it, and then it will be very easy for you to iterate through it. It's just ease of use, how efficiently or easily you can use it. Because obviously you don't have to write the whole IP address here. You just write A, and you can access the element. So dictionary is used there, and many cases, yeah, dictionary you will use a lot when you're using you're parsing an XML file, you're parsing a string normal text files, or you're passing a YML file. Like in my case, if you're dealing with any kind of automation nowadays, most of the files, the configuration files, they are in YML or they are in XML. And as a DevOps, you have to modify these files automatically. So you have to get good practice with dictionary, because at the moment you import even JSON, if you are passing a JSON file, JSON is imported as a dictionary. So these are very practical examples where a dictionary you will use, and this items, the big item word, that function is more than enough for most part of your work. And obviously, if you want more detail, you can always go to the reference manual and go through the details. But for most practical purpose, is looping through, say you have a JSON file. If you usually say you want to make some kind of logic based on JSON, then you use this this particular thing. I'll show you some examples with that. So and now next is the error handling. Error handling is very important in a way that, because why I'm putting a different section for this, because usually if you're doing a normal program is fine, but when you're writing automation is just 1 minute. 1 minute. Where is it? 1 minute. Yeah. So whenever you're dealing with automation, so mostly as a DevOps, you will write some kind of script which will run nightly and do some jobs and finish, and morning will send you email, everybody's happy. But if what happens if some of the program throws error? So I mean, this is not acceptable at all, because you cannot have a continuous integration process based on one error, it just fails. So you have to write some kind of error handling. If because of your code something error happens, you have to detect and catch the error and take a corrective measure. So error handling is how it is. Simple error handling you can do in your code, like if else kind of error handling. But what if happens if some of the internal Python code itself creates fault? Take an example. You want to access a file, okay? You want to read a file, and the file is not there. So one option is actually you can check the file handler is there or not, but still it can throw an error because why? Because the error is coming from inside Python, I mean inside the Linux or file system error. That error handling, you have to use some kind of exception handling. So here, let's go top of the table. I have some examples here. This one. Error. Error handling, we already saw the syntax error. Syntax error is the most common error that you will find in the beginning of the programming, and even during writing, when you're writing new module, new thing, you will encounter that. But here I want to emphasize more about exceptions. How to do the exception. Exception is like you see, if you expect anything to fail, like say if you are trying to open a file, say right now what I do is I say f equal to open, I say hello, okay, what happens? See, IO error, no such file or error. So if you see this particular trace back, this IO error, this is the keyword. If you see, this is the exception that Python returned to you, and you can use this exception to take a corrective measure. Take an example. You have to again. You have to take an example of writing a file copy program. You have to copy a bunch of files from server A to server B. And now when you are going to copy a file, obviously you will open the file. You will try to access the file from the source destination. And then you can use these kind of things. Because say if you have a 10 file you have to copy. And if the first file doesn't exist, if you go with the normal way, just one by one, based on the first exception, your Python program will die. That's it, finished. It will not copy rest of the 9 program. To handle that, you have to use some kind of try and catch mechanism like this. You do like try and then try to open the program. And then you write except. So what happens is when you try, let's copy the whole code block here. Take a say def error, okay, error handling. Copy it here, just know these guys. Another point, make sure that if you're not using loop, don't use break or continue. It will throw an error. Because break and continue are specifically designed to work with loops, not with anything else. So we have this. I'm just correcting the indentation because it has to be correct, otherwise it won't work. So now take an example what we just did on the interpreter. I'm trying to open a file. Here. Okay, try. And now I know when the error comes, this is my exception will come. This is exception and I'm printing something. File not found. And I'm calling this function. Put it here. See what happened. And okay, first take the example if I don't use try and catch. Okay. What it says, see, it went inside, tried to open the function, see line 14, error handling, IO error. So the difference is, in this case, the program died. Say if I want to run the loop after this, say I want to run this guy. Okay. No more execution. It didn't execute this guy. But in a real world scenario, we want even after encountering error, it should continue to run. So we have to use these kind of techniques. Whenever you expect there is a system error can come and it can crash your program, so use this. Now if I do this guy, see, it says file not found, count none, and now it can execute the second line of code. So this is very crucial. When you're writing any production grade application, you have to do these kind of things, which you want to run as automated. This is a very basic. I give you example of another example. Yeah, pass is a very good example. I do it a lot of time because, especially if you're dealing with, say, if you're dealing with downloading some internet files. Many times the internet connection problem, something that time you don't want to print something. So what I do, just
Chandan, what if we want we have like 5 files to open and it we have to check them one by one using maybe a for loop. How can
So you will write it in like this. You will write like for I in files. Assume file has a list of file names, and I do here and I open this guy. I. So say take an example files. Files equal to hello something like this. Okay. Now I run this guy. Say compilation error.
Take out the loop function.
What?
Just comment the loop function for now.
No, I'm just to demonstrate the loop function. It's fine. So what is doing? Now we are looping through the file list. We are opening one by one file, and we are printing some error. But if I remove this guy or something like, so this, did you get the point or not, everybody? Importance of having try and accept on any like system level programming.
But shouldn't we use continue instead of pass so that it can try more than one time? Because you have two files defined.
No, this is the purpose. Continue and pass through, they are two different things. Continue you use when you want the loop. You can actually use continue here also. It won't hurt. But the purpose of continue is to run it. Take an example. Okay, I'll give you one example. Say you have a big loop. Okay, I have like, I want to say something like this. Say in this loop example, I only want to print the value 2. I don't want to print anything else. And I want to make my loop very efficient. Say I have something like this. I have like 100 print statement. Okay, like this. Just copy. I have a lot of code. And I want to make my program very efficient and only want to print one variable. So what will I do? If I is not equal to, say, 2, continue. What happens here is, the moment you hit continue, it doesn't execute this code. So you are making your program efficient. But if you type pass, it does nothing. It executes the whole code. So their purpose are completely different. They are like apple versus orange. They are there. They look the same, but they.
That was my question. So if you have like 2 files, hello and bolo, so you went for one file and then you write pass, so it will go down and it will print one to run the loop. But if you use continue, it will go up and again.
Yeah, it will do the same thing. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we want to search for both files, so we should use continue instead of pass, right?
No, it's not. See, again, we are mixing continue and pass. Pass is just to give a pass. Just pass the program. Continue, what happens? You can use. Okay, let's use continue. Continue. If you use the continue, in this particular example, you will have the same output.
Can you try now to execute it with the continue?
Okay. Oh, this is one. This one.
Yeah,
Let's comment this guy. It will work in this case. So this is because in this particular example, you see the continue and pass behaving in the same way, but they are not same. Okay, to understand difference between continue, you have to focus on this.
Okay, can you do one thing? Can you create that just a touch a file with name Bolo, and we will see that how it reacts.
I'm telling you, it will behave the same way. The continue and pass in this particular example will behave the same way. But we are not doing anything with this guy actually. He just opens the file. I mean, I'm not, I see, tell me what is your confusion? I think you're mixing pass and continue.
No, I just want to understand this function. So that's why I said it.
Which function? Which function?
The one which you are just explaining.
Error handling?
Yeah, error handling.
So first of all, forget about, just for now, just don't mix the concept. To forget about continue and pass. Right now, just keep print, simple. Got error while opening I. What happened? See, and in this case, even if I write pass, result will be same, but you have to understand they are for different reasons. You got the same result. Getting same result doesn't mean they are doing the same thing. Example here. Okay, I'll put another example to make it more clear. Okay, in the same example. Okay. When I say this hello world kind of statement, try to understand the real world. There will be a lot of code here. So if I say pass here, like this one, it will print the hello world. Why? Because after pass, the pass is an empty statement. It does nothing. It's like saying hello or something. It's nothing. So
yep. If replace it with continue hello world. Yeah, if we replace it with continue hello world will not be printed.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. Hello will not. So if you want to make your code in the, and continue can only use with loops. You cannot use anywhere else. If I comment this out, this guy, so it will say syntax error.
Right.
Okay. So that was the for error handling, user-defined exceptions, and you can actually have user-defined exception, but I'm not sure if feeding too much thing will be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think so. We already got a lot of things. Maybe
yeah, you got some backlog.
It's so, not much, but
yeah,
it will mix up with the
I'll go through some maybe just basics about. So now we understand something about all most of the variables, function, error handling, and
if everyone agrees, I would say that you mentioned in your email about getting an idea of using the Git so that we can use the repository. Maybe we can do, because I don't know about that, and that's also necessary if you want to use the repository. Let's
ask everybody if they want. I can do this.
Sorry, I don't understand the question. What is the question here?
He wants me to go through the Git once again.
No, because we already had so many concepts for Python. I don't want to absorb any more today, at least, because we already got. So maybe we can use next half hour for how to use the repository, how to download there, and how to get uploads from the repository.
So, Chandon, have you covered what you have to cover for Python today, or what?
Godfrey, it depends on you. Do you want to learn more programming? Is that not good enough, or What is your absorbent power? Have you,
It depends on
you
the
absorb
structure.
any more? You
It depends on the structure. If it has to have to cover a certain.
no, it does not. It should not work like that. It should be. Can you absorb much? Then we should continue.
No,
We should
why
be
not?
deciding that if we can absorb, or is that good enough so that we can do practice. We should not do it in a mechanic way. We are not like machines.
Okay, so I guess in this case, you think we should stop Python and go to something else for
No,
the
I'm
next.
asking you. What do you want?
No, he see, Godfred, what
We
he's
want a consent. What do you want, Godfred?
I would say whatever the channel had in mind for the session.
I will say that you guys should be good with Git, and when I finish the Python module, you guys should be handy with Python and have ability to manage a source control software, which is Git. That will be my goal. So my target was to actually go through some modules, like how to use modules for our case, and maybe the next session I'll do this, like go through this like sys OS, and go through some examples.
SL, what do you guys think? Should we
If
continue?
you guys want, I can cover this in this session, or I can again go through the operation like Git, how to use Git, because even I mean, pretty much looks like nobody either they are not able to push on the Git, or they didn't do anything, because you have to use the branching technique, Git push, and only 3 commands. Yes, it looks simple at the other side, but at the beginning it could be challenging. So it's up to you. Do you want me to do on the Git?
Chandan, this is Faisal. So one thing I would say, if you think that by the end of this session we will cover both Git and Python at the same time, then I think it's a good idea to go with what Irfan is saying. But if you think that we're going to cover the Git at separate subject after Python, then continue with the Python. So
No,
That's a good
actually
idea.
no, because remember in the first session I took almost half an hour to explain Git. So Git was the goal, and once we finish the Python, we'll be going through maybe this Puppet or something. In that case,
So I think then what Irfan is saying, then it's okay, because if we go side by side, then that's what I think. Then
okay. So let's do one more. Irfan, can you share your screen? I'll stop the screen. So you have to do it, otherwise you'll have the same problem.
Okay, why not?
Wait, how to stop sharing?
Because the goal is we all should be agree and we all should be comfortable with what we are doing, right? Hassan, are you good?
Yes, I'm good.
How to disable the sharing, desktop sharing?
I think it's at the bottom.
No, you have to unshare it, go to the options, and then Irfan will start sharing.
Yeah, I'm going to more, chat, invite, stop recording, disable attendance, audio setting, video setting, end meeting. That's all I'm seeing.
Now, is there something at the top of your screen or at the bottom?
Oh yeah, stop sharing, yeah. Okay, now anybody who has just share your screen, and we will go through there. Okay, open GitHub.
That's a good question. I don't remember if I have it or not.
Just type GitHub, it will open. On Google, I'm here.
Just have to go to the website, github.com.
Okay. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, so do one thing. Just forget about permission and everything. Just start a project. Click here. Start a project. Say maybe keep the name small so it'll be easy to type. See now what it says. Read it. Just what it says. Create a new repository. Go there. This. So go to your Linux box. Do you have a VM installed?
Yeah, I have. I just have to start it.
And next time, please, whenever we do, just keep the Linux VM running and everything, so that
Yeah, sure.
we have the environment ready.
Chandan,
Yeah.
everyone muted or what? I'm hearing a lot of background noises.
Okay. Let me see how to mute it.
Chandan, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
One question since he's bringing the VM. You mentioned about JSON files, JSON or JSON file. What are those files?
No, where I said JSON?
In the when we were doing some error handling.
Oh, JSON is a kind of data structure used for web. Nowadays, whenever you do any kind of web development, the way you communicate between two objects is using JSON.
Okay, so it's
Data
more
type
like
for web languages.
web language. And also we have one CI, continuous integration and continuous development, right? CI and CDs.
I mean, they can call it a different name. See, many people are actually they are sysadmins. So I mean, it's all mixed up. I mean, this is not there is no single word which defines it. As a DevOps system admin, they are all more or less same. Can you do putty to this guy? Do you have a so it will be easy to check the IP and connect with putty to this terminal. It will be fast.
Oh, you want to do putty with this terminal? Okay.
No, you check the IP of this guy. What is the IP?
Let me see.
Go at the top with something.
It's a 192.168.
Yeah, open putty and connect to this guy. Or even because we have to do a copy paste, so you may have issues in copy pasting. Or there is another option. Wait. Did you install the guest thing? I think you installed it. That's why.
You click that. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy doesn't have internet or what? No, this guy doesn't have internet.
Okay. It's probably gonna take a while, you find. So can anybody else share their screen?
Or I can share my screen if you want. Or maybe Godfrey, you have a VM where everything was set up in your laptop.
Yeah.
So we can do in your laptop.
Okay.
Share your screen.
Okay, no problem. Can you see the screen now?
No, I don't see it.
You have to stop sharing.
I already did.
Oh, how do I share my screen? Share screen, right? Can you see now?
No.
No.
Okay, 1 second.
Or someone else, Hassan, you have set up everything? Or anybody else has set up?
Can you see my screen now?
No.
Okay, but I've already clicked on share screen. So how come you not see my screen?
No, yeah, now I think something come up.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So now we have it. So can you open the browser?
Browser.
Go to the GitHub website. Go to your profile.
My profile. So
Just click on the GitHub icon. Yeah, this one, this guy.
this one, right?
Click here.
Oh, okay. This one?
This one. It should take you to your profile. Yeah, you are here. Just do one thing, create a new repository. Simple. See, you have already. See, it shows your repositories.
Yeah.
So now you are added. So here, we just do this guy.